forward, Mr. Ra, how should one diversify their investment portfolio during the accumulation phase to balance risk and reward effectively?
Yeah, this is a fabulous way to look at how I can balance my risk and reward. And diversification, probably, if somebody is putting in the mutual funds, there is an auto diversification which has happened already. And while diversifying, one need to understand the risk profile and what kind of. And today you have a risk profiling tools which are available, and how you can look at that risk profile, and you have a right asset allocation. I mean, probably it's a multi assets today, and each of the asset class can work very well, and timing you are in, and what kind of asset allocation you are getting into it. And the third one I look at is diversifying within the asset class. Probably when you are coming to the mutual funds, you have a large cap, you have a mid cap, you have a small cap. Within the asset class, how you can do this is like in the during the power overs you are scoring more, and during the lean overs you are waiting for it, as you rightly put it. When it has spin, how you can place, and how you can face the whole situation. And the diversification also requires the regular rebalancing, because things in the last 3 years are very different. It is going to be the next 3 years, and rebalance can make your assets working for you, rather than you don't need to stress. And the last one I look at is keep always, when you are doing the asset allocation, stay informed and get adapted to the situation, because there could be a period of time get a too much of returns. There is a period of time you get a zero, and there is a low return, there is a no return, there is a high return. How you can rebalance it, and that's the way I look at it.
And another important point here is that when we look at such a long-term horizon, the issue would be some of the mistakes which come on. Just like in cricket, right? Your batsman is set, he's playing, but sometimes a rash shot comes about. So the question I have for you is, what are the common mistakes people make when setting retirement goals, and how can they avoid them?
Yeah, and this is a fabulous question. It is a question to be pondered over many a times. It's the first thing I look at. The biggest mistake for many of us is we think retirement is not in the near future. It's a very long one, and I don't need to. This is not a very emergency one. It's not very essential to plan. Not planning for the retirement is the first mistake we do it. And when to plan, it's we always tend to postpone. Rather than postponing, addressing as early as possible is the most important part of it. And one of the studies when we did, we have seen people look for a retirement plan when they got their first child predominantly. And probably, you can do this much more better. And the second part is different professions calls for a different kind of plan. For example, I've seen doctors. We do this program called Dr. Nivesh, and most of the doctors, they start their career late. I mean, starting too late could be also one mistake. And third one is underestimating your expenses, and these expenses in terms of inflation, and this in terms of it, and underestimating and not looking at on the taxation side, not looking at the health cost. And the fourth one I look at is the longevity of life, and estimating. Today average age. I think this book, which is written by Linda Granton, how the work life is shrinking today, and people tend to live even 100 years of work life. You need not 100 years of life. That's a where you need to plan. There's a fantastic book which she has written. And the fifth mistake I look at is somebody who planned, but there is a corpus which is created. And I have seen this in the recent past. Suddenly you have seen a lot of wealth which has come in your retirement kitty, and you are dipping into that corpus to attend to pay for your car or pay for your house. You are dipping into the corpus thinking that retirement, and thinking that these returns are going to be a permanent one, and that could be the another. It's a and the last could be during the other phase is withdrawing little more than what is needed.
All right. I'll take one or two points that you mentioned here as I wrap up the accumulation phase side of this conversation. And the question that I have for you is, how can individuals ensure that retirement savings keep pace with inflation and rising healthcare costs? Because those are going to be the two big factors in terms of protecting capital and making sure that you have an adequate corpus which builds on its own due to the power of compounding. So your thoughts on what can individuals do to make sure that their retirement savings are, in a sense, inflation proof and can tackle rising healthcare costs?
Yeah, I think it's very crucial to look at the rising health cost and inflation proof, and all that. What you need to do is invest wisely and invest in that asset class which can give you the returns which is more than the inflation. And probably I call predominantly at equity and the asset which is a growth oriented, and look at equity as an asset class over a period it has proved. And I look at, today we just spoke about 30 years, and I look at last 30 years in India, the stage of reforms which were set in 1991, and maybe 32, 33 years. And this has happened, and today's growth, what we have seen is happened by default or sometimes a little design. And when we are talking about next 30 years for us, which we call this is an Amrit Kal, which we call this is a Viksit Bharat, and which is called a Atmanirbhar Bharat. When you are looking at this is going to be a by design, how you can design your portfolio in such a way when India is growing at a growth phase, and you can put a lot of your assets in India and a growth part, and you participate in that. And when it comes to health cost, how you can look, I know ensuring your health and insuring your health. These two can make you minimize, you keep better, and you don't need to worry. And equity should be a major asset class. And look at rebalancing as often as possible. Probably, sometimes at a younger stage of life, you can overboard on the asset class, which can do better.
An investor education and awareness initiative of Aditya Birla Sun Life Mutual Fund. Mutual fund investments are subject to market risks. Read all scheme-related documents carefully.
म्यूचुअल फंड निवेश बाजार के जोखिमों के अधीन है। स्कीम संबंधी सभी दस्तावेजों को ध्यान से पढ़ें।